I think that's right.
I think that's right.
Oh my God, we did it right.
Oh, wow.
The first time.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Got my pop filter.
It's still 100% like when I go to record the Warzone Eternal episodes.
Yeah.
And I sit over there, I get so confused. I'm like, wait, what does Bryan do? What does Jeff do?
So it's still that thing where like I want to face you when we're talking about a microphone is the other direction. But yeah, how's it going, Rick?
It's going.
It's going.
It's been a crazy summer.
It's finally getting like hot out after.
Which is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, like it sucks. Like even my basement has got like when I turn my dehumidifier on, I'm like, oh yeah, it's hot.
It's hot. Well, you know, it's part of the changing of the seasons.
Yeah, I know. I need to become a snowbird and go north in the summer.
Well, you could play the Northern Alliance in Kings of War.
I know you kind of took that. How does that work? You took Northern Alliance, so you play these nice cold guys, and I'm building and working on salamanders. You know, fire.
Yeah.
And hot and lava and
Well, you know, part of it is that the Northern Alliance are essentially the Rebs of the Kings of War.
So what does that make the salamanders?
Pirates, I think.
Pirates?
I think mostly pirates.
Pirates. So, does that mean there's going to be a random salamander in one of your stories?
There can be now.
Your captain has got to be a salamander. There's got to be a way to put salamanders into Deadzone.
Oh, yeah.
And Firefight. Because they have a big enough line that all they would have to do is use the vault
to add new arms.
And add arms with weapons.
Yeah.
Because, hey, guess what?
Oh, you're on Deadzone the podcast.
This is Deadzone the podcast.
I'm Bryan.
And I'm Rick.
Welcome to the Deadzone podcast. Deadzone is the sci-fi tabletop.
Eventually we do the intro.
That's how it works with us. But so I originally bought those salamanders, and I was going to try and do a kit bash with enforcers.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really care for the way it looked. But now that I've actually been working with the salamanders and pirates, and so I guess technically I could use the Matsudon.
Yeah.
Like the Matsudon stats and do a Matsudon list, but have it as salamanders.
Yeah, probably do that.
Or I could figure out another kit bash. I haven't decided yet. Maybe salamanders with Asterian body parts. Robotic salamanders?
I mean...
That's totally pirate.
That sounds doable.
Huh.
That'd be a fun kit bash.
Maybe I'll bug Nick, because I know he's got a ton of Asterians, because he bought all mine.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, those Matsudon are the only Asterians I have.
Really?
Yep.
Well, it's a shame that you didn't grab the marionettes out of the two-player starter.
Yeah, no thanks.
So that's a project that we got coming up. For those that might not have seen it, going up on our YouTube channel. Is that we recently did an unboxing of the
second two-player starter.
The second two-player starter for 3rd edition, which is the Fall of Omega 7.
Asterians versus Plague.
Yeah. And so with that, we're kind of splitting up the contents, as it were.
Yep.
And so Rick, what faction are you going to be playing?
not Asterians. I did my Asterians list. I'm done. I'll be doing the Plague.
You'll be doing the Plague.
And you're going to be doing...
And I'll be doing the Asterians.
Correct. There's no Rebs.
There are no Rebs in this starter. But it's a good project. I've been meaning to do Asterians for quite a while. I have some ciphers all primed and ready to go. Ironically, including like a test model that I did of the paint scheme I wanted to do for
perfect.
Them. But there aren't any ciphers in the 2-player starter.
No, there's not.
It's Otasora in a very nice resin mini because he was in the Star Saga set where it was the just hard plastic. I forget what the
soft hard plastic.
It's not quite PVC.
Did Rick forget to turn his volume off again?
Maybe. Did Brian forget to as well?
Hey, look. I have an email. That means I left my phone on.
But so it's Otasora and then mostly marionettes.
Okay.
And so kind of with that we're gonna paint up the little demo set, which is each of us kind of has 3 minis per side, and that's a little kit to introduce people into the game. It comes with the starter set, so it's that double-sided map. Yeah. So you have the full map on one side, and then you have the quick start. Yep.
This is how you play Deadzone with all the rules around the border, which I absolutely love that they did that. Mm-hmm. It makes it so much easier for new players to buy it and get into it and know exactly what they need to do.
And to demo it to their friends then.
Yes.
So it's like, hey, you want to try out Deadzone? Well, here. We flipped it over. We're ready to go. And we have everything that we need. And so we'll be doing that demo game. We'll see how it goes. and then we're talking about kind of as a future rolling out that we put together. We're thinking like 175 points.
Somewhere between 150 and 175, depending on what we can get out of the box.
Yeah.
Because I know I have a lot of zombies.
You have a lot of zombies in there.
Which means a pretty low
point scores for you.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Once I dive into it, I'll know a little bit better.
Yeah, same here. I'm not sure what's.
I didn't know there's at least a hound in there though.
Okay, yeah.
Which I can also print a ton, but I can't use it for this.
True. We're keeping it to just what came in the box.
Just what's in the box. Yep.
Just to really kind of showcase, what you can do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it'll be fun to throw together some. I don't know if I'd say competitive lists because we're not big on. I'm going to say when
were the 2 of us in a game actually competitive?
Yeah. Not often.
I mean, from an outside point of view, I can see some people thinking we're very competitive because of the way we play against each other, but it's not. Like none of our lists are ever really super competitive.
If I was competitive, do you think I'd have so many Striders on my list? Not saying Striders are bad. It's just the way I play them is not the most optimized.
If you want to know how not to play a Strider, play like Bryan.
I mean, they're fun.
They are. Striders are a blast.
Yes. And you know what? They will be a blast in
Firefight. Because so Striders are classified as a vehicle, aren't they?
They are a mechanized unit, as it's called. And so, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but
us?
If you've been living under a rock, we've really lucked out this time in that the announcement happened right before we recorded for once. And
a special shout out to Dan.
Yes.
From Mantic.
Awesome shout out to Dan. He was great. He did a quick little interview with us on a very short notice.
Very short. Like that was like a 3-day turnaround.
Yeah. And got some really great insight on what's coming. So if you haven't heard, Firefight is getting a new command protocols book.
Wee! Which is just like the Kings of War Clash of Kings.
Yeah. And so it's going to contain a lot of rules adjustments, I believe all the factions are going to be listed in there with their unit costs and everything. All the tweaks that they've been working on for a while. I know as we've even felt, it's like, man, it feels like it's been forever since we've heard a big update for Firefight. And so it's coming in spades now.
Yes.
they've been working really hard. It really shows that they've been putting forth that effort to put together a really great update for us.
Yes, and they've been doing this past month, like this whole time, they've done a great job of throwing out teasers of the vehicles.
Yes,
that are coming. Yes. It's one of those things. Like that's one of the things that I've loved that Mantic has done over the last year. Like when they decide to do a social media push on a new product, they've really been hitting out of the park with getting all that information out there and the pictures and getting people involved.
Yes. Yeah, and
for a change, we ended up on the right side of the page this time, not a page later.
It was close though, guys. You don't even realize. It was like, hey, we're going to be recording on this Tuesday, before the pre-orders go out.
I was like, hey, Ronnie, got any little tidbits for Brian and I? We're getting ready to record in a week. Hey, talk to Dan.
It's that weird thing since we're recording a little earlier in the month. A lot of times in the past, we record at the tail end of a month.
Yep.
And I'd scramble to get the episode out. But we got a little bit of extra time now, and so it's given us a chance to do some quick interviews and insights into what's coming down the pipe from Mantic, and they posted that rollout of, here's our firefight plans for the rest of 2023.
Which is awesome to have that kind of knowledge forefront. It's like, okay, this is what's coming. This is what I can work into. And it's a great way to get people excited again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So speaking of that rollout, let's do a quick recap of your little 30-minute interview.
Sure.
So it shouldn't take that long.
No, it should be pretty good. So yeah, a big part of the interview, if you haven't listened to it, go check it out. Dan,
yes, please.
Again, Dan is a great guy. Gave us all sorts of little tidbits, some of which we actually weren't allowed to include until now. And like with that, so big walkthrough was, some of the rules are kind of, they're in their final stages of tweaking, but we got a number of updates to kind of help smooth out some of the rougher edges of Firefight, some of those kind of gotcha moments where, and the really kind of min-maxy type gaming moments that kind of ruin the fun for some people. They've really pulled back some of them. I know, like, one of them is the not allowed to do like an extra activation if you're the first player.
Yeah.
Just to avoid the Alpha Strike wipeout potential. Which I think is a decent update. A number of other ones that Dan talked about. So I think we got they did a lot of play testing to get that information together. Now that we've had more tournaments as well, I think
there's been quite a big Firefight tournament scene over in the UK for sure. Yeah, and we've had a few over here too.
Mm-hmm. And we're actually gearing up for the Michigan GT.
GT, only a couple months away.
So very soon we'll have the second annual first Firefight tournament.
Can we really call it that? Second annual first? I mean, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
But that's us.
That's what I'm going to put in the description. Join us for the second annual first Firefight tournament in the United States.
Yay!
And anyway, I digress. So the big thing in August, so we're going to get the Command Protocols book. Pre-orders are actually up now by the time you guys are hearing this.
Yep.
And you should go check it out and get that book ordered. I believe they're going to be shipping out here. So August has got a lot of stuff coming out in it already.
It sure does.
Including a lot of new vehicles.
Yay!
For quite a few factions, actually.
Hey, I'm Chopper.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Rob.
From Mobile Armor Radio.
And you are listening to Deadzone, the podcast with Rick and Brian in the morning.
Never heard of it.
I don't even know who those guys are.
While you're pulling up the list, One of my favorite things about Firefight and Deadzone is the cross compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
So you get something new for GCPS. Guess who else can use it?
Right.
Maison Labs.
Plague.
Marauders.
Like you get a lot of coverage with multiple things.
But you also have that very unique because Enforcers, Asterians, and Veermen are super unique factions where right now nobody can take their vehicles. Like, what exactly is a Plague guy gonna do with a tunnel runner?
Right.
I don't think they know how to operate it.
It's definitely a trickier thing to work, especially, well, they do tend to have tentacles. That gets you kind of a prehensile tail.
Yeah.
If you try hard enough. It's probably a willpower thing, honestly.
Oh, okay.
The Plague just don't want it.
They don't care.
Enough. But yeah, so and I'm trying to find the
actual list.
The rollout picture. But there's going to be a couple of new attachments for the mule, including a mortar.
For the Plague.
The Plague. And it looks like we're going to get a command for
mule.
The more kind of GCPS folks.
Yep.
And then and a big cow catcher on the front of that thing.
It's perfect.
And so another thing that's rolling out for the GCPS is the Wolverine tank.
Yes.
So this thing honestly looks really cool to me.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Now I get that there's some
discussion going on.
There's discussion about it's not sleek enough for the Warpath universe. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's the case. I mean, if you think about it, like, a tank works.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you still have tanks?
Yes. And absolutely, like, the GCPS, like, not everybody is a mega corporation.
Correct.
Yeah, we have, our private military, but that doesn't mean they have to get the best stuff.
And I really hope that there's going to be Plague stats for this tank.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet.
I would absolutely love to have these tanks in a Plague army. Because, we have the 2-player starter for Deadzone, so apparently I'm also going to go
back into Plague.
Yeah. Which is actually funny because Rachel brought that up the other day. She's like, Dad, when are you going to actually repaint your Plague? Because remember, those were the first ones you painted before you knew what a primer was?
Yeah.
Or Myers Walmart hobby paints,
mm-hmm.
And not understanding wet your paints, and
right.
all of those things that I've learned since, and it's like, you know what, that's a good idea. And then of course this falls in our lap.
Right. No, absolutely. And like with that, like so the thing with the Wolverine tank is that it is part of a partnership that they're doing with Warlord Games,
which is actually really cool too.
Yes, I think it's a really solid venture because it helps. So for those that are unaware, they actually already have been partnered with Warlord Games to work on the hard plastic production for Kings of War, which, if you haven't seen like the new Northern Alliance stuff coming out,
they look sweet. And
yeah, it's the quality has just shot through the roof, and it's really proving to be a fruitful venture for them to work together. So this is a tank that they already kind of had.
Yeah, they have. So that's
I think Archon Games. I forget the actual name for the game that it's kind of part of.
Why do I keep wanting to say Astares?
Antares?
Antares, yeah. Antares.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Because my pronunciation sucks. Because it's Basilian.
I mean, the Basilines. Maybe he was born with it. Maybe he's Basiline.
Oh my God. Don't take a drink when Bryan talks.
It's a dangerous thing to do, that's for sure. But yeah, so like so it does. It has a slightly different design aesthetic than what's become the norm. But I think people are wanting that Lancer tank. It's the elephant in the room.
Yeah, it sure is.
But I think it's coming because
I 100% believe it.
What this kind of deal has let them do is bring bigger
more
armor,
vehicles
more
that's
vehicles to the firefight. Not only for their own line, like we are getting new Veerman vehicles, we're getting new Forge Father vehicles, we're getting new Enforcer vehicles.
Yes. Yeah, that blew me away.
Yeah, there's a number of things coming out for the Enforcers. Yes. We didn't mention yet the new the GCPS Hornet has some extra.
Those extra guns are amazing.
To make it a gunship is pretty stellar, and but no, there's some really cool things in the works, and I think
that gunship is going to be perfect for taking out those Asterian vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Finally.
I mean, you forget that I play GCPS.
Yeah, I know you do.
For Firefight. But yeah, so I think this deal has really kind of let them flex more so that they can bring more to the table. Yeah. And you know, some of these are just kind of add-ons to existing kits.
Yep.
Which is not a bad thing.
No, not at all. Because I still have some of those kits that I haven't built yet.
Yeah, same here. But like what it allows us to do, like as gamers, is we now can, in a way, kind of accessorize. We can customize the vehicles that we have to fit a different role based on how we want to play with them.
Yep.
And I think that's a big step forward, because otherwise it's just huge. I have a tank. It's just a main battle tank. It rolls in, it shoots. It's like, no, you can kit it out to be that heavy transport. You can kit it out to be have a different role within your list. Because I know they're doing a lot with like command type vehicles now.
Yes.
Like the Enforcer.
Yeah. So when you talk about new vehicles coming, I was super surprised to hear that Enforcers were getting more.
Yeah.
Like every faction needs them.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
But like it blew me away, and then looking at the model, like that model is okay. The Lancers, it'll come.
Yeah.
Don't worry, guys. The Lancer, like obviously, I don't have an insight on whether we're getting Lancers or not. But if you look at the new build for that, the Lancer is coming.
Yeah,
for sure.
Mantic listens. Like
they really do.
Yeah. It. Sometimes it's like, you know, woo, go Revs, like we want more. Like they hear us. They know
they completely listen to you on the whole go Revs because they have a new game getting ready to go to Kickstarter. It's all about Revs. It's called Worms.
Different topic.
And that's just for Jack, by the way.
Yeah.
We found a squeaky chair. That's been a while.
Yeah.
What's up, everyone? I'm Andrew.
And I'm Coach.
From FamilyOfGamers777 on YouTube.
And you are listening to Deadzone the Podcast with Rick and Brian.
Do you think they'll be upset that our audio is better than theirs?
Nah. Rick will probably just laugh it off. Told you.
But to circle back, so...
Yes.
We don't get distracted, right?
No.
But being able to modify the role that a vehicle now has within your force... I think it's another one of those, like, it's a small change, but it could
change your list completely.
It has a major impact from a strategic and tactical position, and like I said, the role that vehicle now has in your army could change, and I think we're going to see some really, really fascinating and cool combinations.
Yes,
and probably kit bashing, which not gonna lie, I'm always looking forward to that.
That's the great part about accessories.
Yes.
You get to kit bash more.
And so some of the stuff that wasn't allowed to be in the interview.
We have
some inside scoop on some other stuff that's coming out. just very briefly, because it's all going to be rolling out. So
it's all rolling out.
This is some of the stuff that's coming in September. Is that there's going to be some new vehicles for Veermen, Asterians, and Forge Fathers.
Ooh.
Now, some of these you'll be seeing the screenshots, the pictures of them are going to be coming out slowly here. But we do have a couple new vehicles for Asterians, and admittedly, I'm blanking on the names, and I forgot to write them down.
Oh no! It's okay. It's Asterians.
The only details I kind of have are the names on them. So.
Well, yeah.
But so new vehicles for them, and then the Forge Fathers, they're gonna get a new type of transport. That Dan had kind of hinted at, was that there's going to be a front opening type transport for transporting troops onto the battlefield. Awesome. Yeah. So
that's like almost that throwback to World War II.
Yeah.
When you think about it, but in tank form instead of boat.
Yeah, the opening to Saving Private Ryan definitely comes to mind. And so like that aspect of it, I think is I know there's rules coming that adjust how deployment out of vehicles works, and this is another option that kind of plays differently as well with those new rules coming out. So, but I've already seen like hints of that picture. You can see it in the background of some of the early promos, and it's looking pretty cool.
Yes.
And then for the Veermen, tunnelers are getting a whole lot of
toys
love, including a shield tunneler, which is supposed to protect the more troops as it's moving across the field. And,
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, and like using combinations with smoke with it.
Yeah, is
how it's been kind of told to me. So, and this stuff is coming out very soon.
Yes,
and so we'll just kind of have to wait and see, but. It's coming, guys.
Yes, so, indeed.
You know, we're getting a lot of the core guys in this first wave here in August. September's gonna have even cooler stuff.
Yay!
And and so like with that, you know, the rest of the roadmap, as it was defined, is also in September. Is going to be a companion update with the new rules
ways
and
to play.
New ways to play. Which we'll cover in just a second. November later this year is when the Terrain Crate Tree comes out.
Yes, indeed.
So we're gonna have all those new scenery pieces that we can use in our firefight games.
Yay!
And then in December, Enforcers are getting even more toys.
I like the sounds of that.
So yeah, we've got a lot to look forward to with Firefight this year. And
yes, we definitely do.
And then Dan also hinted at the end of the interview the plans for Deadzone going forward. They're being put together. They're planning out 2024 already with what's going to be coming up in the sci-fi realm. So
yes.
So we got some new Deadzone love coming down the pipe as well.
Perfect.
All right. And so to circle back to Firefight with the command protocols, there is going to be a new way to play the game. Much like Kings of War just saw Ambush.
Yep.
Which is a
smaller version.
Smaller version of Kings of War, same type of game. Just in
I was to say it's the exact same game, really.
Mechanically, it is identical.
Yeah, you just can't take hordes.
Yeah.
Or legions.
There's just rules around some scenarios and list building.
Yep.
But otherwise, it's a really fun way to play Kings of War. So, Firefight.
It's going the other direction.
So, Firefight Annihilation, as it's being called.
Such a great name.
Is the new way to play. And so, like, one thing to note, like, you can still play regular Firefight.
Sure.
There's nothing's really being changed. Like, it's not going in this new direction, and it's only going to be that. But this is what Ronnie had hinted at for us for a while now, is the mechanized.
I think his initial thing was Tank Wars.
He kept saying tanks, and they're like,
Not really.
There's a couple of tanks, but we have a lot of mechanized units.
We do.
Across all of the Warpath universe here. And so a big change with it is list building.
Of course.
So with building a list for Annihilation, you're building armored battle groups, essentially. All units are classified as either mechanized or non-mechanized.
Okay.
And it usually circles around the word vehicle or bike or treads or walker. Like any of those that are linked to the vehicle keyword are mechanized units.
Yeah.
Everybody else is in the non-mechanized side.
Non-mechanized.
So you then choose a command unit for your battle group. It must be a mechanized unit or deployed from a transport as the commander. For every 2 mechanized units, you may unlock and take a non-mechanized unit.
That's so awesome.
It's kind of the flip.
It's a reverse.
Yes. And so with those non-mechanized units, they have to deploy from a transport.
That makes sense.
The whole concept being like this is an armored column moving through. Like this is you don't have to have
Tank Wars.
Your vehicles, with troops walking along like
going super slow. No,
we're
trying to get there.
Tanks these days can already go like 80 miles an hour.
I know.
They can leave people in the dust. So that's the big concept around this is you build
Legions
from the mechs first, and then
that's awesome.
Add. So I can now faithfully recreate the 08th MS team.
You can
from Mobile Suit Gundam.
You 100% can,
and I'm gonna.
I know you are. Do you have enough mechs for that yet?
I do.
How many Striders do you have?
I have 3 Gundam Striders
already built.
Yeah. And then I have the command truck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm good to go.
That's not enough.
I mean, I can always.
Because I'm totally gonna bring more plague at you. Or enforcers. Because I think I have 15 Striders.
I'll have to flesh out my Maison side. Strider list because that was a continuation of my Gundam
It sure
sets.
Was.
And the Maison Labs represent the Titans from Zeta Gundam, and so they have their own suits as well.
You were such a nerd.
Yes, I am.
Kettle Black, anybody?
And so, so kind of with that, not only is there some adjustments to the list building.
Yeah.
There are some extra rules that they're introducing for kind of more mechanized centric combat, which includes things like specific vehicle damage.
Okay.
And rear damage. So
nice.
Different sides
might take. So
it's going
to matter where you're at.
Yeah. From what Dan had described to us, it's a very simple chart. Like it's not, as he described it, it's not like a bolt fell off, and it has the very minor changes. It's like, okay, the left arm doesn't work or something like that.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little contextual, and it'll probably just be little modifiers to, shooting
vehicle,
or just the little stats. Their goal is not to overly complicate it, just to add a little extra flavor. And I think that'll be really fun.
Yes, indeed.
And so with that, there's also new missions.
Yay!
For this type of gameplay.
We always love new missions.
Yes, and it is going to be things like a convoy going through, or a Black Hawk Down scenario where there's a crashed vehicle that you need to go support.
Yep.
And I know, like talking to Dan, like he like threw out some movies and stuff that are kind of like the inspiration.
Yeah.
And I was immediately thinking, like we did on the show, Courage Under Fire, where there's a drawn out tank combat section and a helicopter rescue section.
Yep.
All that good stuff. So
that's awesome.
This is going to be a really neat way to play, and it's still based off the core mechanics of Firefight.
And that's super important.
Yeah.
Because Firefight did win Game of the Year last year.
They are shooting for winning it a second year in a row.
That is so awesome.
And I think this with these updates and changes, I think it's adding that little extra flavor to further expand the possibilities that the game can go.
Yep.
and
adding more units and fleshing that out.
Yeah,
which is super important.
Yeah, because Dan was even saying like they are very saturated is not the right word, but they have a lot of troops already. They got
there's definitely a lot of troops.
They've got the infantry covered for a lot of these factions. So now it's okay. The vehicles, the things from sci-fi
that everybody wants,
that everyone wants, and I think they're gonna look really cool. Taking them to a game store and putting them on the table, and people are gonna start coming by and being like, "What's with?"
Oh, you're playing 40K? No.
What's that gunship from?
Oh,
why does that tank look like a dude with a beard? So that's always one thing I've loved about Mantic's line of vehicles is that they do look really solid. They're distinct, and I think that's going to continue going forward. So
yes, for sure.
So with that, lots of cool stuff for Firefight.
Yes.
And
hang on there, because 24 is going to give us more Deadzone.
Yes.
I mean, we don't need 24 to get more Deadzone for the two of us.
No,
but
we're going to keep playing all the time. And these vehicles are definitely going to show up on our table for terrain.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of great stuff for Firefight.
Oh, my God.
Kind of sudden, in a way, suddenly.
Downed helicopter or down mule.
Yeah.
Or down a Hornet for a Deadzone scenario.
Yeah.
Doing it.
And it fits so well. Like, it's not even just like from a military standpoint. I love the one that we talked about with Dan was like, oh yeah, it's that they just don't want them to get the technology that made the craft.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, you got to protect that IP. You know, you can't let it fall into other people's hands.
Yeah.
And now it makes me think of some that Daria, the Queen of Deadzone, was talking about with Golden the other day, where it was, I want a blend of Dreadball and Deadzone, but we're in Deadzone where they're trying to like steal the like intellectual property from a Dreadball team.
Yep.
And a lot of like corporate espionage. I'm like,
that's totally out there.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I love the Warpath universe.
Yes.
It's so flexible and able to do so many things.
And it's so young enough that by us flexing and stuff, these are parts that could actually become part of actual lore.
Mm-hmm.
Because you write it.
Yeah. And two, like one of the things that I talked with Dan about after the show was kind of the evolution of lore.
Yes.
And for the Warpath universe, and seeing it continue to evolve and update. For example, I believe the command book. Pretty sure he hinted at it. I forget if it was left in the episode. We're going back to XAM for the new 2-player starter for Firefight.
Really?
Yeah. Which is going to be...
That's a great place to be.
Forge Fathers and Veerman. So for those unaware, XAM...
Do I have enough?
XAM was one of the supplements early on called Infestation, I believe.
Which was all about Veerman.
Yep, which was the Veerman-centric one. And so that one has continued forward. So it's kind of fun to revisit some of these locations, especially after they've been destroyed and whatnot. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So really good, really fun stuff coming for sci-fi. It's
indeed.
After a little drought, because
a
little quiet. Again, they had a lot going on with Armada and Kings of War,
and then they had the Kickstarter for Dungeon Saga Origins.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had a lot of fantasy going on, which and that's one of the things that Mantic does is like they don't do everything all at once.
Yeah.
They do. We're doing fantasy right now. We're doing specifically Kings of War. We're specifically doing Armada. Now we're specifically doing Firefight. Yeah.
It comes in waves, and sometimes if you're on the
bottom
of that wave, it feels like it's forever. But when it crests, when it comes over the top,
all there.
It's some really fun stuff, and it's going to keep us busy.
Yes.
For quite a while, talking about all the things that we love about it. So.
Yep. Every single time.
This Deadzone, the podcast hobby table, is sponsored by Corvus Games Terrain, 3D printer files for all your Mantic games. And by Acid House Terrain, foldable cardboard terrain for wargaming and RPGs.
So with that, I think we'll move on into our hobby table.
Hobby table.
Brought to you by Corvus Games Terrain.
And Acid House Terrain.
And Acid House Terrain. So for, they kind of beat us up on the last episode for not really
shouting them out. Yeah.
But Corvus Games Terrain, it does a lot of 3D models and things like that. He's designed a whole line for Deadzone specific, and as of now, he's got some new stuff coming out.
There's more coming.
For
which I'm
new
super
run.
Excited about.
Yes. He's posted a picture of it.
He's hinted
publicly.
Yes.
We've been getting some inside scoop. We can't wait for this new line that
he's so excited.
He's putting together, and it's going to be so cool. You guys are going to love it, and let's just say maybe some beards are involved.
That's a very subtle way of saying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll leave it just like that.
We'll just leave it at that. And so Acid House
Terrain is this really cool table in a box.
Mm-hmm.
Table in a box? Yeah.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
So it's a thicker cardstock, but it's all pre-painted, and you pull it out of the box, and you just fold it and put it together, and you have your terrain. And he's got a box that's probably 12 by 12 and about 4 inches thick. That's a 6x4 table. It's all the scenery you need for a 6x4 table. And once it's assembled and once that cardstock is all put together, the buildings are actually fairly sturdy. Mm-hmm. You can put obviously it's not uncertain scenery where you can stand on it. Yeah. But you can put a full bottle of water on those buildings and it's not going to fall over and it's not going to crush it.
That's good.
So it's super durable in a game standpoint.
Yeah.
And luckily enough, he sent us some for the Michigan GT. So we will have a firefight table set up completely with Acid House Terrain. The other awesome thing is he has a new Kickstarter that just went live this month and is already completely funded.
Oh, wow.
It's almost 200% funded
goes fast.
with his goal. But it's very cyberpunk. Mm-hmm. So it'll be super excited to see that with some of the Deadzone cyberpunk scenery. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a nice mesh. I can't wait to see that.
No, that's going to be great.
Yes.
So,
but
with that,
with that, because that's our new phrase this episode is with that.
With that,
what have you been working on, Brian?
Apart from trying to get my 3D printer to behave again,
It's absolutely amazing because it really is. Because mine's working just fine.
Yours is working just fine now. Mine's on and again, off again, kind of.
I still have some stringing, but mine's completely pumping out stuff.
Mine is to clog for some reason now, and under extrude. But with that, I was able to print the full size of our little Deadzone the podcast,
which is awesome because you can get it over on
Cults 3D.
Cults 3D,
and I will have a link in the show notes because it's under my personal.
It is under your personal, but guys, if you're able to, jump on there and help us out because whatever funds that we make with these awesome 3D designs that Brian does, that goes into the podcast.
Yeah,
and it helps us do things like we did last month with the giveaway.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was a big one because that was 10 years. But we love giving you guys more stuff. We really do. And stuff for our tournaments and being able to actually sponsor a Deadzone tournament, sponsor a firefight tournament by Deadzone the podcast. And this is how we're going to be able to do that.
Yes. And so, with that, I'm going to continue to do little tweaks and updates. If you guys have any feedback, definitely open to it.
Oh, yeah.
Feel free to reach out to us on our social media platforms to let me know.
Hey, there it is.
How
and
it goes.
Not even at the end.
Yeah. For instance, I did. There's two versions of.
Yes, there's an update because there's two different.
Yeah. There's two inserts for it essentially. One that's a bit more designed for Deadzone, one that's a bit more designed for Firefight, mostly for space. Those smoke screens are big. But you can also fit, your tape measure in there now too.
Yep.
And then the lids, the biggest difference is that there's a different size for magnets in there.
Yeah, because you need a stronger magnet for the bigger size.
You need some stronger magnets for the bigger size, the full size lid. So just a heads up on that. Look for some nice sturdy ones. I think I upped the space to about 10 millimeters round.
Nice.
So, hopefully we can. I'm going to continue to improve it, and if you bought it once, like those updates will be available to you.
Still yours.
Yeah. And so, with that, so gearing up for this new project, I did get my hands on some of the new Army Painter speed paints.
That's 2.0s?
The 2.0s.
What do you think of them so far?
I haven't opened the box just yet.
Oh, okay. So that'd be next episode.
Yeah. That'll be the next episode. I'll talk a bit more about my experience with it. But I am excited. Like, I do like that they come with the metal ball for shaking it already inside. I've heard really good things about this new line. And so this is a pivot for me that I've mostly been using contrast paints for this type of painting. And so now, putting drops of it into
more paint in the toolbox.
Yeah. So have you had any experience with the speed paint style?
Not 2.0.
Okay, but the style where it's a dropper of the contrast style. So do you put that into a wet palette or is it dry palette?
I did.
Okay.
I used the wet palette.
Gotcha.
And usually I would use the drier side of my wet palette, but
Sure.
I used the wet palette. But so with the first Army Painter speed paints, I only used them for smaller pieces. So I didn't really have to put a lot on the wet palette.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I guess, it's one of those things I never really considered. It was like, should I use a dry palette? I don't know, because the wet palette was working just fine for me.
I just the only reason that really came to mind is part of the travel paint kits that I made for the Paint Pal set from Corvus James. Like one of the sets is supposed to be kind of a shade pot.
Yeah, exactly.
Little pools for those types of paints, and so I was like, oh, okay.
Try both.
Try both. I'll let you know how it goes. I feel like it'll be easier on the wet palette side just because I won't have to clean it as much. But just because I don't really clean my wet palette. But yeah, so gearing up for that for the Asterion project for sure.
Yeah.
But it has been on the docket for me to redo my Rebs. In a similar vein that you mentioned your Plague earlier.
Yeah.
My Rebs were still the first guys that I painted.
Yeah.
And I want to play as them. I want to play as the Rebs more. But the model, like the paint job I have on mine is just not up to snuff compared to like what I've been doing recently, like my GCPS and my Northern Alliance. Like, it's just, you get better over time. I'm still nothing special by any means, but it's something that I do want to take a little bit more time on. Use some nicer paints, use better brushes than I had before.
Use your experience.
Yep. And to so if I can kind of get in that groove of, hey, I'll be doing my Asterions, but hey, I'll just take a little break here and I'm going to paint up a little Reb Trooper.
Sure.
Because
if you have to.
I have kind of my list of guys for my Twin Star Outlaws.
Oh yeah.
My story characters. I've got the minis set out for them. The one I'm trying to figure out how to do right now is one of my characters is a rebel sniper.
Okay.
But I also have I'm using like the old rebel commander as my kind of main character. So she often doubled as the rebel sniper as the official Mantic model for it.
Sure.
So I'm trying to kit bash my rebel sniper.
So why not just
the one thing, like the two things that I kind of need it for the character that I've got is a female character who's wearing a turban.
Oh, okay.
in part because I designed her around an Infinity model that I had for the longest
exactly.
time. But I want a Mantic model that I can send around, and I've got bits and pieces for like the GCPS. Like I have the sniper rifle. Heck, I have the sniper rifle from other Rebel Commander.
Yes, you do.
Models that I can pull from, and I even have like the old Rebel weapons team. Pieces, and I'm looking at that for kind of the base. So now it's trying to figure out what to do for the head of the character, and I just haven't quite found like that turban style, and I don't know if I just need to do a green stuff style of it.
Either a green stuff or I mean start looking into the Kings of War stuff.
Yeah,
because as you noticed on the Facebook fanatic groups, people are starting to really jump into that. I'm kit bashing between the Kings of War and fantasy. I mean sci-fi.
There's so many more.
Because the new dwarves, the Forge Fathers with
the
halfling heads.
Yes,
like, that's perfect.
Yes, I have a buddy of mine who has excess amount of halflings, and I'm just like, hey, you want to make a deal here? you want to trade this stuff?
Tradesy.
So definitely looking to do that because I've got a whole plans for Forge Fathers to get them to a firefight level.
Perfect.
It's funny that the Asterians are the one that I really don't have everything that I would need for a firefight level. But I've got I've got an Enforcer set, I've got Forge Fathers, I've got GCPS, I can do Maison Labs.
Yep.
I don't have Marauders yet. So Marauders
I have plenty of Marauders.
And Veermen are kind of my 3 outliers.
I'm not sure I have enough of Veermen. I mean, I've got the vehicles. I might have enough for 1,000 points. But I think that would be all I have for Veermen.
And that's kind of my goal with most of these factions. If I can get them to 1,000 points, that's a fun game that
that's a great size game to do quickly.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically, I guess I have many pending projects, as I often do.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. So what's your hobby table looking like?
My hobby table looks like a bunch of resin. And so unfortunately, I haven't gotten any Deadzone or Firefight on the table yet. Mine has been mostly still working on my salamanders. I finished up another unit for them, and I've been having a blast because I've done most of my salamander list and bases has all been airbrush, 100% airbrush.
Oh, nice.
That's a big step.
That makes them go quick.
Well, it's a big step in a different direction for me because up until this point, my airbrush has pretty much been prime.
Yeah.
And Zenithale highlight and maybe a base color of 1.
Yeah.
So I haven't really jumped in, and I did the Kings of War bases for my salamanders and that lava and 100% airbrush.
Yeah. And
then I painted up the my Phoenix, which is actually the Basilian Phoenix from Armada, just blown up.
One of the great things about the vault.
Yes, exactly.
Able to mess with the scale.
All the way to the metal on the Phoenix's, I guess, face shield that kind of covers the Phoenix's eyes. That was all airbrush. Like everything on that model is airbrush.
Gotcha. Looks nice.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. So that adding to my toolbox has been working more with my airbrush. So I've been starting to work on my salamander troops being a blue, because why not?
Yeah.
Because I did green on the bigger guys, and I'm gonna do the leader as green. But I wanted something different for the troops, and I talked to a couple of you guys, and it was everybody, like 4 of you guys all said you could do blue, and I'm like, okay, if 4 people said blue, I think I'm going blue. So I started working on those, and I started doing some more scenery for fantasy. But as I'm looking at the scenery being a broken down, almost like castle thing, like that could go on a firefight table.
Yeah.
In one of those random leftover planets.
Absolutely.
So
there's plenty of planets out there that have ancient civilizations that are either dead or about to die.
Yes, about to die off. So
because of encroaching corporate.
Yeah, because of those rebs.
No.
Yes.
No.
Oh well.
It's the corporate overlords.
Yeah, the rebs.
The Council of Seven.
No, those are the good guys.
I don't know about that.
Well, okay.
That would be a fun setting, honestly, for like a table to have like a literal fantasy layout. Where you're running around shooting at each other.
So I mean, really, if you think about it, like I could do I have a ruined castle setup. I could totally do that on a table with a couple Deadzone buildings as like the outlying camp.
Yeah.
Like they started to encroach on it. I might have to do that.
Yeah. I still need to make my tree, my forest.
Your forest map.
Yeah. That will happen one day, guys. I cannot guarantee when.
The only thing at this point that we can guarantee from a hobby perspective is
I want to do it.
We want to do it, but we'll be working on the Asterians in play.
Yep.
And gearing up for the Michigan GT.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have the Michigan GT is coming up faster than I think or at least more than I realize. I'm sure you're a bit more aware of it.
Sort of, only because I do the Michigan GT podcast. But yeah, it's literally right around the corner.
Yeah. So and I've been a little lax on that, so I gotta get out the packets and stuff.
Yes.
I'll be getting those put together here before the end of this month.
Yay!
You heard it. It's on
here,
the radio.
At the end of the month.
Yes. So if I haven't done it yet, you can yell at me on all those social medias.
Yes.
But I'll be getting those out and kind of coordinating because we want to get those early registrations, those pre-regs.
So are you going to play in Deadzone this year?
I probably can.
Well, I mean, I got to play in Firefight last year.
You did get to play in Firefight. I can play in Deadzone.
Perfect. Because I'm running Deadzone this year.
It was kind of that funny thing. Like it opened up the opportunities. Like, oh, I could maybe do the Kings of War tournament again.
That's true.
But hey, that's a long day.
Yeah, it is. Of not doing anything else.
Yeah, and that also would commit me on Sunday for a long
day.
And I want to be there to help out with the booth and everything like that. I think we had a lot of great success last year with the booth. And so being able to have someone flexible that can be out there, demo the games, and get people into Firefight, get people into Deadzone.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun doing the demos over there.
Yeah, and so I'm really looking forward to the GT. Gonna make another big push here to get some pre-regs in.
Yep.
Mantic players are kind of notorious for the last minute registration.
Waiting until the last minute, which is tough when you look at something like the GT because, the prize support is based on registration. Yeah. Just saying.
Pre-registration.
Pre-registration, yeah.
So if you are planning to come to the Michigan GT, we hope you are. We'd love to see you there. You will see the entirety of the Deadzone podcast crew.
You sure will.
And I forget if Rob or Jack are coming down for that one.
I would absolutely love it if they did.
Yeah.
We'll see if they have any luck convincing Jeff.
Yeah.
Or coming down themselves.
Yes. That would be sweet, and maybe if we get enough people, maybe when Kings of War is going on, we just play a little Dreadball on the side or something
there
like
you
that.
go.
So yeah, and so come check out the Michigan GT. It's coming up in.
Technically it's October.
It's technically October.
It's the first weekend in October.
I will edit around that.
Perfect.
Because I don't remember dates without it in front of me.
So. Since we're going to edit this all out, I can actually pull up the actual calendar of what the dates are.
That is a good move.
Do. So, yeah, come out to the Michigan GT. We're going to have a blast. That's October 6th, 7th, and 8th. The first weekend in October.
Excellent.
And the great part is when you edit this, you're going to actually leave part of that in there.
I probably leave part of that in there because, that's what
we do.
That's what makes the show, right? It's not all improv. We just don't know what we're doing at the time. So
it works.
But yeah, so I think that's a decent episode.
I think that wraps it up for us.
Yeah, check out all the new Firefight stuff, guys. It's gonna be awesome. I'm so excited to play some more, and hope you guys are too.
Yes, and then of course don't forget to follow us on all your social media platforms.
Yes, follow us on all the social media, and also the Corvus Games Terrain coupon code for this month is DZ Podcast July.
Hey, look at that.
Yep. I remembered to put in the episode this time.
Yay!
As opposed to recording it afterwards.
Awesome.
Post-production is fun. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you for coming. Isn't that kind of like, God, I've been in retail for too long. So
thank you for coming.
Thank you for listening. Yes. I think that's more appropriate. Well, thanks for stopping by.
So like my office where I worked when we were in the office more was part of like part of a hotel.
Yeah.
And so every now and then there would be the people that come by looking for their hotel rooms. And you know, always be like, oh, you know, you guys have to go down to the lobby, go across the thing or whatever. And it's like, and as the doors close, and I always go, hope you enjoy your stay. So,
well, I mean, it works.
We need to have a hotel in Deadzone.
Crap! Don't say that, because then I'm going to start thinking about it and build like a six level building that's all interior and.
That reminds me.
Rooms
I finally got to hang out with Corey at his house.
Yeah.
And mostly for a barbecue.
Yeah, sure.
But he's got a pretty nice setup down.
Does he?
Down there.
I've seen pictures of it.
Yeah, he's like, take pictures. So tell Rick that it really exists. Really, really nice big table.
Yeah.
Whole lot of Mantic terrain, including. So one thing he's got is like a crane.
Oh, wow.
With a working winch. That is like they've put extra scaffolding to be different levels for Deadzone.
That's
and you can
nuts.
sit right in the middle. Yeah. And he's like, I've been thinking about rules to implement, like you can hop inside and change the direction. And
that would be nuts.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I need to hang out with him more.
Yes. Yes, you do.